and welcome to Sit and Knit for a Bit. I'm your host, Melissa. As you can tell, I am outside. It is a beautiful day here in Texas, and I don't get many of those that I actually have off, that I don't have to be at work in the office. And I want to take full advantage, and I just could not bring myself to go inside to do this video. So you're going to hear some noises. We've got some planes flying by. I'll just pause when they do. And I think a neighbor is mowing. My dogs are probably going to bark at something. Sorry, but I don't want to go inside. And the sun's behind me, so I'm probably getting a nice sunburn by the time I'm done with this video, but it's fine. Okay, so, I don't know if I told you my name is Melissa. You can find me on Ravelry at Aurora Evermore. And I have 2 finished objects. I have a new cast on and progress on a whip, and then just a little bit of talk about my scrappy stuff again. I know I've talked about it before, but it's just super on my mind lately, and I just want to keep talking about it. And that's the whole point of me creating this YouTube page, was to give me a way to talk about my knitting without bothering my friends and family who don't care about it knitting. I'm sorry, I have yarn fuzz on my nose, which everybody probably knows about that. Okay, so we'll start with the finished objects. I finished the maiden swan dance shawl. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, I don't have the pattern with me. But here it is. It was the very first pattern project that I would call, oh, there's Nina. Sorry, my backyard is kind of a hot mess. I've got an upside down table sitting on top of a grate on top of the fire pit, trying to keep the dogs out of it. And then I'm using old chairs to hold up the fence while grass tries to grow. Try to keep the dogs out of it, and my cat's chasing bugs. That's Evelyn. That's Olive. Anyway, hot mess. Okay, but anyway, so it is hot. I can't wear this. First project that I felt that I could actually use the term potato chippy, where you just want a little bit more. You want one more, you want one more, you want one more. You don't want to put it down. Sorry. Got a little tickle in my throat. It's not the best colors. I did with the purple theme. But I used all scraps, and I wasn't really planning on this when I picked out my colors. I just grabbed colors that were okay. Like this, the darker down here, I didn't really like it, but I think it's just fine. I also don't like this weird bulgy bump thing at the top middle. I don't get that. And when I was trying to block it, it didn't block it. Oh my god. I spent an hour and a half trying to pin this thing appropriately, and I just couldn't do it. Partially, or probably mostly, because when I went to bind off, I was thinking I probably need to bind. Sorry, that's the wind moving the umbrella that is what you're being held on. Here comes another big gust, so hang on, I'm gonna try to hang on to you so you guys don't blow away. Anyway, when I was attempting, or when I went to go block, bind off, my brain was like, well, shouldn't we do a stretchy bind off? But I sat there and debated, but the project didn't say to do that. And I was like, well, if she wrote the project, the pattern, I'm going to go with what she said. So I didn't, and I regret it. So when I make this again, because I definitely will, because I, for the most part, loved it, I will do a stretchy bind off, because I had trouble getting it to stretch correctly. And then this kept throwing me off, because I don't know. Between the two, this is what we got. So I guess there'll be a few changes I would do to the pattern next time I make it. I'm wanting to make it like in a blue, so I'm gonna start like keeping an eye on some of my blue scraps and seeing if I can get, because I do knit a lot of blues, so hopefully I will get some really good colors, that go together really well. So yes, I don't think I've gotten a good picture of it yet. Maybe today. It's pretty sunny. Okay, I'm gonna throw this over here. Sorry, this is just gonna be a hodgepodge. The other finished object I have is a pair of socks for a coworker, and here they are. This yarn is actually leftover yarn from another project I had done. It's just a nice, like, fall color. It's got some rusts in there, some, foresty greens, some browns. So I just did a regular vanilla sock. I didn't do any actual, I don't know if I can get it to maybe like that. I didn't do any actual pattern. She wanted shorties, so I made them shorties and to her size. So sorry, Judy, I made you wait pretty much an extra week. Yeah, an extra week so I could put these on the video. But you'll get them on Monday. So done. Speaking of, so I have 2 more coworkers to knit for. The next one is Christy's socks, and I know she likes pink. Even though she said she didn't care what color I did, everything at her desk is pink. So I was like, well, I have some pink yarn, and I don't really like pink. So anytime I have an opportunity to get rid of my pink yarn, I take it. So this is the first sock. I have, I've already done the foot and the heel. And I worked on this, I started it last weekend. Judy's socks I knitted the entire way, most of it, while walking my dogs at after work. But I think I maybe did the ribbing and bind off on the last weekend, and then I started these mostly because all the other projects I kind of had ready to go were bigger projects, and it was really hot not really hot, but it was hot last weekend. Almost too hot to be comfortable outside. Like, I had a fan on me, but I was fine with the fan on. And I just didn't want a project in my lap, and so I wanted something small. And so I just like, you know what? I'll go ahead and get these done. So anyway, she also does want them shorties, so I will start the ribbing and bind off, and then start the next one. I do have the ball band for this one. Oh, it's got some of the sparkly stuff in it. It rarely ever shows up, especially since I'm not in direct sunlight. Muted colorful cotton candy? I don't know. I don't know what you'd call that color. That's what I think of. I'll show you the ball band, and then I'll show you the project bag that it's in. It is Wool and Vine yarns, which I absolutely love. I plan on going online next time. I'm going to buy some yarn and buy some of their yarn. I think I've knit with it before. I've definitely heard of it from podcasts, and I do like it. I like the texture of it. I'm thinking that light blue shawl I knitted while on my vacation. I want to say it's the same brand, but I might not be true. But anyway, that is the type of their yarn name, I guess, is Blitzed, and the colorway is Fairy Hair. It is a 75 superwash merino, 20% nylon, and then the 5% stellina for the sparkle. So this is the back. My goodness. Maybe if I get my face out of there. But yes, Wool and Vine yarns. Super happy. It's very squishy, bouncy, and I love your colors and sparkles. Okay, so I used to have like this square brick style knitting bag that had a handle that I used to just loop over my arm. And that was my go-to for when I was walking. And I just sit there and knit. And I think that was one of the ones that my dog chewed up. Probably the handle part. Thanks. And I don't do sewing, so can't fix it. And so I've been on the lookout for a new one. And finally found one. And it's got bees on it. It is a canvasy bag, so it's not super soft, but that's fine. Don't need it to be soft. I want the yarn to be soft. It's got bees. Another cool thing about it is this little compartment. By the way, the zippers are amazing. I mean, they just, smooth. Very smooth zippers. Anyway, has this compartment for, it's got little pockets for knitting needles and stuff. And so I've got some chapstick, tape measure. I put the ball band in there. I am planning on using this as my walking around the air show in 98 days from now, but who's counting? And so this is going to be my go-to for that. So I'll be putting pens and snacky stuff in there probably, but it's got the hole in case you do like having the yarn come through. I don't, because once you do that you can't undo it unless you finish your project or cut it and then re-tie. So I just don't like committing myself to that. It does have another little like loop here if you need to attach something to whichever. Maybe hang it if you need to. Another nice zipper. It does have another one of those tags down there. It's a good size compartment. Perfect for socks, maybe just with perfect for socks with some extra room. So what I do is I usually just zip it up to about there. Which I've never had anything fall out, and then I just leave that open and I have the yarn pulling through there while I have it on my arm. The strap is the perfect width for my arm. A lot of these have small little straps, which I get, but it doesn't work for what I want for. I don't want a little like hand hold, I want an arm strap. So that was another thing I was looking for. The other thing I was looking for is I want the zipper going this way. That way I can leave that hole up here. I've got another bag that I absolutely love. It's good for a small shawl type size bag. It's beautiful. It has a good handle, but the zipper goes the other way. And it doesn't even have a hole for the yarn to come out like this, so you don't even have that choice. And so to walk around with it, if you have the yarn coming out, stuff is going to fall out. So, and it's going backwards, and it's going against the zipper, and I've had them get caught in the zipper. It's just so bummed out about that. They put the zipper in backwards. The only other thing is, and I'm trying to come up with a way to do this, is I've been walking already, and the underside of the strap where my arm is, because I'm hot natured and so I get sweaty and gross, this is starting to get, just starting to get gross, but it's just going to get worse and worse, especially at the air show. So I'm looking at either some little handle, covers that you can just throw in the washing machine. Be smarter if I sewed and I could make my own. I thought about just knitting with some like cotton and then just adding like buttons to it. I don't need it to be super structured. I just need something to cover that I could take off and wash. Another idea was to find some kind of like, maybe like hot glue it so there's like a layer of like something I could actually wash. I don't know, some sealant type thing. I don't know. Let me know what you think. But and that's not the fault of who made it. It's gross me apparently. The brand name is Happy Gift. I don't know if you can see it, but it is Happy Gift, and I found this on Etsy. The person, and I always say she, but it could be he, and if you are, I'm sorry, and I say, if I say she had a bunch of other stuff, different style bags with the same, like, bee motif and stuff. I wanted to buy everybody, like a matching set, but I was like, no, you only need this. So I am super happy with it. I'm going to be using it a lot. Alright. Now we're going to move on to my other whip. and it is my cozy memory blanket, and I am officially completely caught up until I finish those socks, because then I'll have to add that ball in. So here it is, all caught up in its wonderful gloriness. And I'm sure there's dog hair all over it. But that's as wide as it's going to be, so I'm just going to start heading north, heading up. And I know I'm doing mine differently, where I have it where it's like jagged on the bottom, and it's going to be jagged on the top too. But I like seeing the decrease bumps straight up and down. It to me, it's very appealing to my eye. I've seen maybe one other person do it that way, and so when I first started, I had like a cluster down here, and they were all mixed matched, and I couldn't figure out how I wanted to do it. Molly from a Homespun House does like 4 corners pointing to each other, so they're kind of like blocks with 4 blocks within blocks. I don't know. That's kind of a cool method, and I almost did that, but then, and actually I think I started kind of turning mine a certain way to do that, but then I saw somebody else that did like I guess you can call them stripes. I don't care. The decreased lines going straight up and down. I was like, ooh, I really like that. I wanted something that was a little bit more symmetrical looking. I don't know if symmetrical is the correct word, because it was going to be so colorful, and my brain, dog hair on the lip gloss. I knew my brain was gonna have trouble with all the different colors, and so I wanted something to flow at least. Now, I think I talked about the sides. Now I can't show you what they look like, but it ended up having sides that had this cutout. I like it on the top and the bottom, but I didn't want the sides. I wanted the sides to be like straight, like squared off. So I was like, well, I'll knit in, knit like a half a square, so a triangle. There was another YouTuber that had done that, and she's like, that's what I do, it's of my own making, but she didn't like give directions, and so I was like, well, it can't be that hard to figure out, it doesn't have to be perfect. So last night, I did this one. So this is a side, okay? And so I did this one. And it's not perfect. You can see that there's holes. It's not coming undone. It's just where I grabbed them, because I was grabbing every loop and it was too tight, and I was actually running out of yarn. So then I started grabbing every other one, but then it kind of became like this holy mess. And so what I started doing is, you can see up here, it's a little bit tighter. I started grabbing 2 of them at one time. That makes sense. It was pretty much, yeah, it was, what do you call grabbing? Picking up while knitting 2 at a time. Yeah. And what I did, so I just started with like 1, or I think this one I started with 3 down here. And then at the end of every row, I picked up 2, but knitted them together, knit back across, and did the same on this side, and the same on this side, and just back and forth, back and forth. It's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is just a scrap blanket that's going to go on the, on the couch, whatever. As long as it doesn't come undone. So that's that one. And then there's one other one on the other side. This is like some tie-dye color, man. But I love it. Even though it's really pinky. But see, not as holy. It did kind of, although this was a thicker yarn over here, so it kind of was a little wonky. And once again, I don't care. But see, not as many holes because I picked up 2 at the same time, but knitted them together. So it's just gonna, be relaxed and look like that. Little wonky there. Isn't that fun? Look at that. This was a little ball I got from when I bought that scrap yarn for my last advent calendar, and it wasn't enough for the actual advent calendar, and I had more than I needed to, so it stayed in this bag. That's what I'm doing. Is any balls that are too small to be an actual square, I'm putting it in this Ziploc, and it's going to be the half square. or the triangle, or the end piece. What did I call them? The side ends or something. I can't remember what I called them. So these are going to be the future ones. And then I'm just going to, you know, like I said, add to them. I don't want them to be the same yarn that is already a square, because I don't want to repeat. That's kind of defeats the purpose. But yes, so far I am happy. If you are tuning in to this the first time, you'll see that my squares are bigger than most people's. I actually do 61 stitches, and it was by accident. By the time I went to start this, the pattern was no longer free, and I had already done some metered squares for another project, so I knew how to do them. I just didn't know how many to cast on, and I just guessed, and it became too big, but I don't care. I actually kind of like it that way. Uses up more yarn, and not that it'll go by faster, I just need less colorways, I guess. I don't know. So that is that. And that has gone back into its normal bag, I should say original. Oops. Which is this one I got off of Amazon. It also has those little, it has 3 holes to pull the yarn through. Once again, I don't like it. It's got 2 mesh sides and then a pocket in the front for notions and like a thing of Kleenex. So, but I thought this was a good one because it's all the different colors. Yes, I have a problem of trying to match my knitting bags with my pattern, my projects. It's not a necessary thing to do, but if I can, it just makes me a little bit happier. So, back to the scrappy knitting conversation. I'm glad the wind has died down. Now my bird is chirping like crazy. But back to the scrappy knitting conversation. Once I finish a sock weight pattern, then that yarn becomes a square. If I have enough, it becomes a square. If I don't have enough for a full square, then it goes into the bag to become an end piece. Then once it's done with that, once it's added to that, if it's a normal enough for a square, then it's going into this non-see-through container. And this is going to be the future advent calendar yarn. And I put a sticky note on here, and I just, every time I add in a ball, I just put a tick mark. I literally add in a ball without looking. Now, granted, yes, I added a ball in today, so I know what color is, what color I added today. But I think I know one other color that's in there. But hopefully in a year and a half, when it's Christmas 2025, I won't remember. And what I'll do is I will close my eyes, and they're already nice balls. I will close my eyes, reach in, and just pull them and pluck them, and that way it's even more of a surprise for myself. But I wanted to keep track. That way I knew if I had 25 or not by next Christmas or whatever. So that's my idea. Hopefully it's big enough. If not, then I'll, with my eyes closed, transport it to something else, but I think it will be fine. Then it gets put into an advent calendar for the Christmas or holiday or whatever you celebrate. I actually celebrate Yule, but we don't have to go into that. Oh, you know what? I had extra of that yarn. Hilarious. Then, when it's done with that, or if it's not enough, then it gets put into this jar. Okay? Now this jar, at the end of the year, when I'm done with that year's advent calendar, goes into this, and then I'm going to make a cake and just do a garter stitch blanket until the yarn is used up. Now, there is a lot of this one left, so part of me is thinking I should knit something else with it. It's pink, so maybe I should knit something for my mom with it. I don't know. I don't know. It is a lot. I don't know. We have time to think about it. But so I have those. Now I have these teeny tiny amounts down here. Let's see if I can get them. And I was thinking, not that I need more. Oh man, I just undid that. I'll fix that. I usually wrap it and then I grab a crochet hook and string it through. That way it's stuck. I don't know how everybody else does it. But anyway, I have these teeny tiny little, these are the leftover of the end pieces. Oh look, dog hair. Never seen that before. These are what's left over of the end pieces, not a square, under the Cozy Memory blanket. And I feel like if I put this in the garter stitch scrap blanket, it's not going to be enough to really show up. It's going to be like maybe one single line, or maybe not even that. And so my other, I don't know, I haven't decided. My idea was to do maybe, or my thought, not really an idea, is to put tiny mounts like this into another thing, another jar or something, and then make a cake out of them and do scrappy socks. I think that would be fun. So the really tiny tidbits, scrappy socks, the bigger balls into a garter stitch scrap blanket. I am bound and determined to use every piece of yarnage, apparently. So that's what I'm thinking. I think I'm going to do that. Because like I said, I mean, just, that amount is not going to show up, but I want to use it. It's just not going to show up that much. Is it really worth it? But I think that'd be a good amount for like a striped section of a sock. I think I'm going to do that. I want some scrappy socks. I love knitting socks. I love like self-striping socks. I think it would be fun. Yeah. Okay. I've decided I'm going to do that. When I'm done podcasting, I'm finding another jar to put the mini scraps. Oh man, like I have enough. But see, I knit with sock yarn like crazy. It's my favorite yarn to knit with. It doesn't hurt my hands like other yarn does. I have a lot of it. I find it easier to shop for. And why not? Why not? It makes me happy. And that's what knitting's all about, right? So, yes. Smaller jar. And then once it gets to a decent amount, what I think is... Well, I guess I only need 100 grams. Well, actually, I need less than 100 grams because I don't use a whole 100 grams for a pair of socks for myself. Then I can cake it up. Now, do I want them matching? Oh. I could. I want them matching. I could take the ball, undo it, find the middle, cut the middle, and do it with each one and then connect them. But two separate, and then cake them. Yeah, it'd be a little bit of work, but school's almost over. I'll have time to do stuff like that. By the way, 4 more weeks, and then I graduate. So, yes, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stick them in this pocket for now, until I find a jar. I have somewhat of a jar in my craft room. I don't remember. Actually, I think I bought this to put the hanks in, or skeins back then, and pull from. I think that's why I bought this years ago. Okay. I think that's it for my knitting. So that's all you want to listen to. Go ahead and you can sign off. I'm going to get some, I'm not going to get any knitting done. I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal life, not that there's much to talk about, and then book review. So, if you don't want to listen to any of that, bye. We'll see you guys next time. And for hello to all those who wanted to stay. So I'll start off with the book review. I actually, last weekend, finished a book, which I'm very proud of myself. It's been a long time since I really got into reading, but since school's been a little bit easier this semester with only having one class, and that class actually being pretty decent, I'm finding I actually have time to knit, time to read. Plus, with the weather being nicer, I want to sit outside. And when I sit outside, I don't have the TV in front of me, and so I find that I will knit and read outside. So, but anyway, this is the book I finished. Lord of the Rings. Fellowship of the Ring, so that's book 1. I know a lot of people have read this, and even more people have seen the movies. And that has become a bummer because I have seen the movies several times. I don't really know them by heart. I mean, I don't know like every line by heart. So it was kind of I already know the story. I already know what happens. Kind of bummer thing, but it was still good. There are some, obviously it's not the same as the movies. There's actually a whole section in here, like a whole like chapter or two that doesn't even happen in the movies. Not that it really matters in the long run, but it was in there, and I was like, oh, at least something different. So, I still enjoyed it. And, I started this, well, I'll just talk about this one. I read The Hobbit years ago, loved The Hobbit, so I figured I'd like this. And if you like The Hobbit, you like this. If you have not seen the movies, and you do like to read, and you like to read kind of fantasy adventure stories, I would definitely recommend it. Once again, start with The Hobbit, then jump into these. If you've seen the movies but do like to read, yeah, it's up to you. Once again, it's kind of I already know the story, but it was good. That was pretty much my only complaint, I guess, was that I already knew the story because I watched the movies, which is not the author's fault at all. But it was pretty good. I think I read it in about a month or so, which is pretty good for me. So yes, I am reading the second one. Struggling a little bit just because I know the story, but I want to get through. I want to get them done, and I can say I've read them. Now let's do a marathon of watching them one weekend. All, of course, knitting. So yes. And I love maps. It's map of Middle Earth. And so while you're following the story, I would like flip to this. I'm like, okay, they're right here, you know. It's not the perfect map. There's definitely stuff that happens in the story that you can't find on the map. It's there. It's just not labeled, or it's scrunched up, or there's a page break in the middle of the map, things like that. The second page has a little bit closer up of like Gondor and Mordor. So that's kind of cool. But once again, I like maps. Oh, and then down here is the Shire. A little close up of the Shire. Sorry. The camera is actually right here. Yeah. It's over here on this side of the iPad. So anyway. So I'm like, okay, it still works. So that's my book review. I think what I'm going to do, book reviews, if I finished a book recently, I'll talk about it. If not, then I'll just pick one of my favorite books or a book I have read before. I really want to get it back, I'm trying to get back into reading, trying to stay with reading. I really miss it, and I'm glad to be back. That's Evelyn. She's so happy. So, personal stuff, not much has been happening. Just enjoying the good weather. 4 weeks left of school. I've got a group project to do this weekend. I'm not looking forward to it. it's the last one, but I just like, part of me is like, can I still pass the class if I don't do it? But no, I need to. It's worth 30% of my grade, so, or 25. No, I think it's worth 30% of my grade. So, and I don't have 100 in the class, so I have to do it. Just do it and get it done. It's not hard, it's just tedious. I actually messaged the group and I was like, hey, if you guys want, I'll just do this section. Like, no, we should meet and talk. And I'm like, ugh. Anyway. That's been about it. Just work, school, getting the grass to try to grow, mowed yesterday, knitting, reading, a little bit of watching TV. Gardening's doing okay. With the potted plants, they dry out really fast, so I have to water them like crazy to keep up. So summer's gonna be rough. Last weekend I got some new watering hose stuff. I got a new timer, automatic timer, and some new sprinklers and stuff. And got set up pretty decently. But I'm wondering if in the summer that the one time a day is going to be enough. I might have to still manually do it the other part of the day. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how bad the summer is going to be. My Japanese maple out in the front yard that you've never seen. It was more like Charlie Brown Christmas tree size. Died. I had a feeling it wasn't coming back this spring. No buds, nothing. And my mom's like, I think it's dead. I'm like, I think so too. But I gave it like an extra month. I was like, I'll give it some time. While I was mowing last night, I went and took a look at it, and yeah, it was completely dead. So I spent like 20 minutes digging that out of the ground. It's one of my dogs rolling in the grass in the sunlight and sunshine. Everything else is doing fine. Just getting geared up toward, for the party, for my graduation party. We had a pretty good sized storm come through a couple of days ago, and it undid the plugs for, I have string lights out here. I wish there was a way to lock them. At least have a little whole loop thing, and I could just string something through them to lock them together, but there isn't anything. Anyway, it undid them. They went crashing to the ground. Luckily, they're plastic, and so they didn't break, which is why I bought plastic. But before I could get to them, hold on, there's an airplane. Before I could get to them, one of my dogs chewed up one of the cords. So this has become the most expensive dog of my life. There went another $18+. I'm gonna kill her. So ordered another set. So right now I have this hanging on the fence just enough away from her until I get them fixed, and I don't know if I can find a way to lock them together, melt the plastic, I don't know. Another set, the cord split, so I strung, I don't know if I can explain this. You had the heads that connect, and just past the heads, there's a cord, and the cord split, and so I took a zip tie and ran it through those, and then kind of clasped it that way. And it seemed to work a little bit better, but these don't split. At least not purposely. I might have to take, some box cutter or something and just be really careful. I don't know. I did do a smart thing, and I saved all the light bulbs on the strand that she chewed up. So I should not have to buy light bulbs for a long time for these lights. She did chew on some of the light bulbs, and then I was like, gosh, I wish there were glass and maybe a teacher lesson. Not that I want my dog to be injured at all, I promise I don't, but part of me, I was so angry, I was like, ugh. But anyway, she dented the bulbs, and there's a couple of them that have a couple little dents, but there was some that she really squished, and I was afraid and I don't know, because I think they're LEDs, and I know LEDs don't really get hot, but anyway, light bulbs and plastic don't mix in my brain. They don't mix well, and I was afraid that the plastic was too close to the light bulb and would melt and catch on fire and blah blah blah. So I was like, I'm not saving those. I don't desperately need these light bulbs. So I threw those out with the cord. Trying to think. there is absolutely nothing else that's been happening in my life. Just sitting out here, enjoying the weather, trying to get back into walking. That's okay. I'm not as motivated as I was a couple months ago. And I think it's because it's nice out. I want to spend my time sitting out here, knitting and reading or whatever, as opposed to walking. I actually prefer walking when it's like 60 degrees out. Where 60 degrees, I'm not going to want to sit out here. But walking is beautiful weather because you're moving, so you're getting hot. Oh, speaking of, you definitely don't have to stay for any of this. This is just me blabbing. I mean, we're at 40 minutes now. Anyway, it was one day. It was a pretty gusty day, but it wasn't that cold. It was like 62 or so. I don't know. It wasn't even that bad. It wasn't cold. I mean, I was wearing like workout pants and a workout t-shirt. It wasn't sleeveless, but I wasn't wearing a jacket. Anyway, this is an older lady that's in my neighborhood, and we've seen each other a couple times, and so we'll talk a little bit. And she's like, she's walking around, and okay, granted she's older, so I'm not making fun of her at all, but she's got like her winter coat on, which I think I only wore once this year, if that. And she's like, sweetheart, where's your jacket? And I'm like, I'm sweating. I wish I was wearing shorts. I was hot. I was like, this is not cold. And she's looking at me like, I'm from Wisconsin. This is nothing. No, I'm not as acclimated as they are. I'm kind of like an in-between now, compared to them and people from here. But I was just like, this is not cold. I will survive without a jacket. Like right now, I'm hot. Although I'm in the sun. It's been sunny on my back for a while. I'm actually kind of sweating a little bit. Once I get in the shade, it'll be a little bit better. But yeah, I think that's all I have to talk about. So here's your funny story. The wind's picking up again. But yeah, well, another view of my backyard. That's actually kind of the view. If I usually either sit on the chair opposite of where I'm at, or the chair over here, and it faces more of the garden. Well, what used to be the garden. Now the garden's so small that it's not really there anymore. But anyway, I'll talk to you guys later, and I'll let you know how everything's going then. Yeah, I'm not sure where we're going to be at that point. I haven't worked on my sweater. Need to work on that. Bad girl. Anyway, talk to you guys later. Bye.